Why is it so difficult for us to tell our story? I mean, it's so crazy when you think about it. There should be no reason for it to be like this. Let's have a discussion about it. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Let's get into it. So, I've thought about this so many times. I've experienced it in my own personal story, in my own personal life. Why is it so difficult, so scary for us to talk about a story that happened to us in our childhood? It could be neglect, it could be abuse, it could be something negative, uncomfortable that happened to us. And to tell that story when we're adults is scary, difficult, uncomfortable. Why? Why is it like that? That is what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking like it doesn't even it shouldn't be like that. Because the story that we're telling is something that happened to us. You know, when you're a child, everything is happening to you. You know, yeah, okay, there's exceptions to that. Okay, there's exceptions because you are doing things, but you're so young, you don't really know what you're doing. So everything's happening to you. So your story of abuse, your story of neglect, your story of anything around those areas. When you become an adult, it's so difficult to explain those, to tell somebody those. I mean, how many people go through their life never telling that story? Never telling their story, and actually that may work for them. I'm never saying that everybody should speak their story. It's never my advice for everybody to speak their story, because for some people, that's not the correct decision for them, right? But what I'm trying to get at here is, for those that do want to speak their story, why is it so challenging? Why is it so difficult? Any other story of your childhood is... I don't think any other kind of stories from your childhood have that kind of effect. Have that kind of effect on you as an adult. I've thought about this a lot, right? I've thought about this a lot. And I'm continually thinking about it because when I speak about my story in podcast interviews or on my posts on social media, I am often getting comments back, often responses back saying, "Oh, that's so brave. Oh, that you must have had so much, that took so much strength for you to do. Well done." So even people whose story it is not, even for the people who are hearing the story, they even think, they understand that those comments that I've just detailed there that I often get is also showing us that people understand that it's difficult to tell a story of child abuse, as an example. So everybody knows it. It's not just the person telling the story. The person listening to the story also appreciates what we're saying here. What I'm trying to get at is why. Why is it? Now, there are going to be incredible psychological explanations for all of this, but I am not a psychologist. I've never studied this area, so I don't have those explanations. If anybody is listening and they are in that field, please comment with why it's so difficult for us as adults to talk about a story of childhood adverse experiences that we went through. Please comment with and educate us. Inform us, because we're always trying to learn here, yeah? We're constantly trying to learn. So that would be really interesting if anybody that's listening that comes from a professional field or is trained in this area, that they would comment. I understand how difficult it is to tell your story. I understand it. I think anybody that's new to my pages possibly is like, oh my God, that guy, Jeremy Indica, he is He is strong and courageous. He is strong and courageous for doing this. This is crazy and all of this. But it wasn't always like this. Even the way I'm talking to you now wasn't always like this. The other week, actually, I just out of curiosity, I went back to last year's YouTube videos. Actually, this time last year was when I started doing these types of videos where I'm talking about different subjects, and they are completely different. The way I'm communicating, the way I'm talking is completely different. For example, there's lots of ums and ahs and stops and stuttering, and I'm still doing that, and I'll forever be doing that. But I can see the improvement. That is no different to the way I talk about my story, right? Now, the way I talk about my story is very different to a year ago, 5 years ago. But when it all started, it was so difficult. Let me explain. Let me take you through how things evolved the first time I ever spoke my story out loud. Out loud! Out loud! For 25 years, it had never been spoken. It was only in here. Only in here. I hadn't even, when you're doing something and you're kind of talking to yourself when you're talking out loud, I didn't even do that with it, right? It was only in my mind. It was only thoughts. It was only memories. So to speak it out loud for the first time, it was the craziest experience. Honestly, this is how it went. I knew after having a really troubled time for 2 years, with the memories getting stronger and stronger and stronger in my head. This was when I was 25 years old. Up until then, I sat with these memories. I thought they would go away. I wanted them to go away. But they weren't going away. I felt an urge to tell someone. Don't ask me where that come from, because I was not following people on social media who were talking about these things. I was not doing anything like that. Yeah. So I didn't even really know that speaking out was an option and what it would do for me. I felt an urge to speak out. Who knows where that came from? I had some opportunities to do that. I got an excellent set of friends, which I'm so thankful for. And I remember being in the pub with 2 friends and being like, I'm going to tell him now. I'm just going to tell him. I'm going to do it right now. When he comes back from getting the drinks, I'm just going to say the thing, right? I'm just going to do it. And then that friend would come back with the drinks, sit down, and I'd be like, I'd be wanting to say it. I've been wanting to say it so bad, but I just couldn't, because it was scary. Why was it scary? Okay, why was it scary? Let's answer that just quickly for a moment before we continue with this story. You're worried about what other people are going to think. You're worried about possible judgment, what other people are going to think, right? Same thing, actually. You're scared that it's how it's going to change the relationship that you currently have with that person, because they're going to know something about you that's a deep secret. It's scary. There's an embarrassment to it. My abuse was carried out on me by another man. There's an embarrassment to that. I engaged in sexual activity with another man. Yeah? Now, he'd brainwashed me, so he'd brainwashed me and manipulated me. I know that, but there's something in my mind that's like, you engaged with a man. You know? That's not very macho. That's not very cool. That's just not something you want to be talking about. you got led, you got misleaded. All of those things make it scary. All of those things, right? So that day in the pub, I didn't speak to those two mates. I went away, maybe some months passed, and then I was like, I just got to do it. I just got to do it. So I'd be in another position. Maybe I was with one friend the next time. It was another opportunity to tell them. And the same thing happened again. I'd be like, just do it. Just do it. And I'd be like, it's like the words wouldn't come out. It's like there was it was like I was gagged. It's like you're trying your hardest to get the words out and you just can't. Crazy. And it was the third time when I was sitting with another friend. It felt really, really right. And I said to him, mate, you are never going to believe what happened to me when I was a child. And then we were off. Then all of that fear, all of that craziness just started dissolving. It started breaking away. Now, for anybody that's been following me for a length of time, you know what benefit that moment brought to my life. Strength, courage. Felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, right? And now that I've been speaking out and speaking to people about this situation, about what I went through, and I'm very vocal online, of course, about the whole situation. Now I've been doing that we're in 2022 now, right? I spoke out for the first. Now I've been doing that for nearly 2014. Now I've been doing that for nearly 5, 6, 7 years now. Now I look back at that first time I ever spoke out and be like, why was it so difficult? Can we change that? Can we change that? Or is it just human nature? Maybe we could change it with more discussions like this, because we want to show people, the younger generations included. You know the reason why I just said that? Because I just thought in my head, we're trying to inspire the younger generations, right? We're trying to set up a better situation for the younger generations, especially those coming through abuse currently. Maybe they're being abused at the moment. Maybe their abuse has just finished. Maybe they're just beginning to deal with the memories. But that's an incorrect thing for me to say, because it's not just the younger generations that are holding a secret. It's not just the younger generations that are holding a secret, that they're desperate to speak about it. It's not just those generations. Every generation, every age group, there are many people within that age group that are desperate to say something about a secret that they're holding about their childhood experiences. So we're trying to change this. How are we going to change this? We're going to change this by setting an example, leading by example, and not telling people to speak out, because I think that's incorrect advice. And if you've ever heard me ever say you should speak out, I'm sorry for that, because I've said the wrong thing. I'm actually purposely trying hard to not ever say that, because as I mentioned 5 minutes ago, it may not be the correct decision for everyone to speak out. Some people, the best thing for them to do is leave it behind and continue. We can't say that isn't a good option for some people. Everybody's very different. But if we can show people that want to speak out that it's okay to, and there's a great benefit to doing that, then that's a great thing. Because we don't want it to be scary for people. We're worried about what other people will think about what happened to us when we were a child? What happened to us? Oh my goodness, my camera just cut out. I can't believe it. I was midway through a sentence. This is a very big frustration for me because the camera that I'm trying to work with is low budget. It's a cheaper camera and I keep getting problems with it. But there's nothing I can do about it because I don't have the funds to upgrade this camera. That's really annoyed me. That's the second time it's happened and it just completely messes up the flow of the video. Let's get straight back into where I believe it cut itself out. Apologies for that. So we were talking about if a memory from your childhood that is negative, that causes you discomfort, if speaking about that memory, telling that part of your story on any level is uncomfortable, because then we know that there's kind of a universal thing there. Now, if you were bullied in a playground at school and you told that story, that's going to be scary to tell. Is it going to be scary to tell? Now, I didn't experience any bullying, so you know what? I feel like that's going to be a strong story to tell. Well, actually, you know what? It depends whether you're owning it or not, doesn't it? It depends whether you're approaching it like, I got a story to tell, and here it is, and it made me stronger because of X, Y, Z, and we're good. It's that approach, isn't it? It's that approach. If we can teach or show, not teach, that's the wrong word. If we can show people that if you want to, you can own your story. If you want to, you can hold your story up high in victory and be like, yes, this happened to me. Yes, it's horrific, but we're good. We're good now. Because we're moving on with life. We are got this going on, or we're trying to make change, or we're more vigilant with our surroundings now that we're adults. We are more informed to take care of our children now because we learned from what we went through as kids. All of those things. The Something to Say official page that I run. If you haven't seen it, check it out. All the links are in the description below. When we receive an entry from somebody and we post it, we write back to them and say, it's posted, thank you so much, it's incredibly strong what you've done. So many of those features are like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. This is incredible. This feels incredible. It's like everybody's experiencing this same thing. Everybody's experiencing this same thing. And we got to make a change. I want us to make a change, to lead by example. That's what a lot of my work is about. If you haven't seen that Something to Say official page, go check it out. Consider writing in as well if you wish to. All the instructions are there. Another thing I'd like to actually comment on now, because that camera issue has really thrown me off. It's irritated me. I'm sorry. If you are in a position to do so, please do consider donating. Anything that you have, even if it's £1 or $1, I am trying my hardest to keep everything running. I'm trying my hardest to keep everything improving, everything evolving. Buying all of this camera equipment is one thing. I had to buy what I could afford. It would be fantastic to be able to upgrade all of this equipment. When I said about the Something to Say official pages, I said we. I used the word we when we receive features. That's because I've got people working with me now. Because for me to run the YouTube channel, the social media pages, the website, the designs, all of those things, I can't do those on my own. The reason why is because there's not enough time in the day and night to do that. That's so much work. Honestly. It's so much work to keep everything going. So I've now got people who I work with and they are excellent. They're skillful, they're dedicated, they're reliable, they're methodical, they're passionate about making change. But of course, they're all artists, they're all self-employed people, so they need paying as well. So everything is expensive. It really is to keep everything going, but we are making incredible change. I am receiving messages all the time from people saying that the work that's created on these platforms has inspired them, encouraged them, given them strength, and has literally changed the way they look at things. So please, if you could spare even £1 or $1, please do consider donating. Your donation goes to good things. You can do that at my website, www.jeremyindica.com. If you haven't seen the website, if you're not in a position to donate and you haven't seen the website, go check it out. We worked hard putting that together. There's all sorts going on there. All sorts. Go check it out. It's really, really exciting. So thank you so much for listening. I wanted to talk about this topic because I want to get to the bottom of it. And I want us to lead by an example, and I feel like this work is doing that. Keep an eye out for more videos on this channel. Thank you so much for listening.